Hey guys, this is Pam Saxman, and thanks for joining me for week two, day two of New Agent Jumpstart. All right, yesterday again was one of my favorite days. We talk about building out our goals and what we want our lives to look like in the next 1 to 5 years. But now we have to have a plan, right? We have to execute what we want to do, a good plan in order to achieve all of those goals. So today we're going to start the work on that. So week two, day two, I first of all want you guys to write down 3 to 5 ways you want to grow your database. So we are huge here on growing your database. There's a lot more people that you don't know than you do. So we want you to talk to probably 10 to 15 day, have conversations around real estate. Again, 10 to 15 every single day in order to grow that database. That's what it's all about because you want more and more people in your life so that you have people to reach out to drip on, to nurture and grow over the next, months and possibly even years. But we all do it a little bit different. There's not one perfect way to grow your business. It really depends on your personality and what your goals are. So, like Sharon Evans has built a primarily referral based only business. We have built our business on doing cold calling. If you do tell me that you need to make $100,000 and you need to make it as fast as possible, we don't have a ton of time to wait for some of those referrals and nurture kind of situations. We need to be more aggressive. And I'm going to talk to you about doing cold calls there. That is expireds, for sale by owners, and also what we call circle prospecting, which can be just listed, just sold, or maybe you're having an open house and you're fishing, right? You're just calling large areas in order to connect with people and possibly find someone that's looking to either buy, sell, or maybe they know someone too. But whatever it is, I want you to write down 3 to 5 things that you're going to consistently do daily to grow your business. Maybe it's cold calling. Maybe it's doing mega open houses. Maybe it's networking events. Maybe it's just marketing and branding and billboards. There's tons of things that you can do. Write a bunch of ideas down, but I want you to circle and identify 3 to 5 things that will work for you and you'll do it. And then maybe push yourself in some areas of that maybe make you a little uncomfortable. Maybe it is social media. You're like, God bless. I know people do it, that it's not me. That may be one area that you want to push yourself in. Or purchasing leads. That's one way to do it too. I'm a huge fan of letting my activity, my effort being my currency in the beginning, but maybe you have a budget that's different than most people entering the business. So something to think about. Develop a plan to implement. It's one thing to say that I have 3 to 5 things that I'm going to do. That's awesome. How often are you going to do them? When are you going to do them? How much money are you going to spend doing it? How are you going to track it? Just really get into the details. And so you're exploring that further. So it could be like, for instance, one of my 5 could be social media. So then social media, I'm going to do it every single day. I'm going to post every day at around 8:30 in the morning. And on Mondays, I'm going to post around market updates. On Thursday, I'm going to do some post around, a beautiful home. Friday, I'm going to post around my open house. You get the idea, right? You have something consistently in mind. So there's some themes. You don't have to do it that way, but that will prevent you from getting in your head and planning to death and never executing it. So develop a plan on how you're going to do those 3 to 5 things, and you're going to do them consistently. Get in the weeds a little bit. How are you going to track your progress? How are you going to track your success? We're huge on tracking your numbers. If you want a duplicatable business, it's really the only way to do it. I have an example. We had an agent that joined us, and she was making a lot of phone calls, but she was really focused on the number of dials and connections that she made. She was kind of sort of looking at her conversations, but not as much as her connections. She wasn't making appointments, and she was getting rather frustrated. So she came to talk to me about it, and we looked at it. And I said, your skill we need to develop. We need to get you higher on conversion, but we also just need to make more dials because the goal that I want you to look at is your conversations. I wanted her to focus on 10 to 15 conversations per day. As soon as she focused on that instead of just the connections, she was able to make 1 to 2 appointments per day. That made a huge difference. Then we just had to get her skill up, right? So that she could convert those appointments to buyer agency deals or listing agreements there too. So let's talk about how do you track. I want to show you a couple of things. So let me share my screen real quick. All righty. All right. So the first document, this is one that I actually love. This is if you daily want to really kind of evaluate your business and be very laser focused. That's the reason why I like it. So you come in and you give yourself a goal. Today, I'm going to set 2 appointments before noon. That'd be a good one, right? My priorities today. So what am I going to focus on? And it could be 15 connections, 2 appointments, complete inspection report in the afternoon, preview 2 homes this afternoon, 1 buyer consultation at 3 p.m. That could be some of your priorities. This is how you track your output. So if I made if I'm making phone calls and I made a dial, I would cross it once. If I made a connection like we actually talked, I would put an X through it. And if I made an appointment, I could take my highlighter and color it in, or perhaps I could circle it, however you want to do it. That way, easily, I could look back on this document and say, sweet, I made 10 connections and I made 2 appointments. Did I accomplish my goal? Yes, I did. I could easily tell that. Nurtures added are basically leads. So people during your conversations that maybe aren't hot ready right this minute, but they are they're ready probably in the next 3, 6, 9 months, or however long. I'm not going to stop prospecting. I'm going to write down their name, their telephone number, and their email address right here. So when I'm ready to go back to do my admin work, I can just grab this information and complete that. Rinse and repeat in the afternoon. If you're not making enough appointments and you know that you're really trying to grow a big business, do the same thing in the afternoon. Just track it. And then appointments attended, agreement signed, whatever you put under contract or executed that day. Again, you can really see your activity and your results, right? You're tracking right here just on one singular document. And then areas that you're grateful for. This is uber important. This gets hard, right? Making all these connections. You will need a way to kind of track yourself and keep your mind positive. And writing down your areas of gratitude are really, really important to do that. So let me show you another document that we use. That one I think is pretty amazing. But this is a different one. This one is if you're all about the numbers, less about the feeling. You can do a call log of your week. Again, same concept, right? X through if I call a tent, X if I make a connection, highlight or circle if you make an appointment. And then you see you get bonus calls. All of this is to see your numbers. At the end of it, you should be able to determine how many dials you need to make in order to get a certain number of connections. Then you could also see how many dials or connections I need to make in order to have this number of conversations and appointments. At the end of it, we really care about conversations and also appointments. If your goal is to make 1 appointment a day, if you're tracking this, you'll have a pretty good idea how much time I need to spend, how many dials I need to make in order to make that appointment. So here's where it gets really good. If you're not hitting your goal, you say, I need to step this up. I need to make 2 appointments today instead of just 1. If you know your numbers, you'll know how many more dials you need to make, how much more time you need to allot in order to hit that goal. And that's the reason why it's super important. All right, let's go back and look. All right, so we've talked about 3 to 5 ways, a plan. We've talked about tracking our numbers. The final piece I want to talk about is evaluating a budget. If you do have a budget, that is amazing. But I will say be cheap and cheerful in the beginning. There's no reason why you have to throw thousands and thousands of dollars. But if you're not spending money, your time and energy is your currency. So you have really got to pick up the pace probably on your effort. But if you are spending money, let's evaluate it. Let's write it down to see where we're spending our money and also where the return is on it. At a certain point, you have to determine, is this spend, am I getting anything from it? And you want to be able to look at that and determine it pretty quickly. So keep a little log, how much money I'm spending, how much money I'm making off of this lead source, and is it paying off? One caveat, not all leads are hot leads. Sometimes you have to spend the money over a period of time, give it 12, 18 months, and then you'll start seeing the fruits of that labor. So evaluate that lead source before you start spending money. Postcards are a perfect example for me. I'm not a huge fan of them, but they can be successful. It may take you 12 to 18 months to drip on one farming neighborhood in order to get one great lead. Fortunately, they're really inexpensive, and so that may be an investment that you want to take. But don't spend money with the anticipation that I'm going to get a return on that maybe immediately. Also know that things take a little time. And if you're jumping all over the places for all different types of lead sources, you're going to find that you're not doing anything really consistently to give it the time to develop those nurtures. So something to think about. All right. Heavy day, guys, of some activities, but let's get on it. And I'll see you guys for day 3 in a few minutes. Thanks, guys.